country is now spending more money on generative AI infrastructure than it is on public health, all of public health at all levels. It seems like everything is deploying AI now. AI is on every app on your phone. You told us that you want to use AI to understand community data better, to build deeper partnerships, but most importantly, to help with the tedious and manual parts of your jobs, such as running community health assessments and shifts. So you jump in. There's quick wins, there's low-hanging fruit, but if you really want to get impact from AI, you've got to empower it to work on the time-consuming parts of your job. Reading reports, writing grant applications, looking through data. Then you remember, this is still the same AI that can't tell the difference between a dog and a muffin. When you do connect it to public data sources, it will happily build you a dashboard of the wrong Fresno and not even notice. That it can entirely make up community residents and their concerns just to tell you what it thinks you want to hear. And that most importantly, it doesn't have the faintest clue what it actually feels like to live in your community or what makes your municipality different from its neighbors. So why does AI do this? Well, generative AI is just an especially advanced fill-in-the-blank machine. $200 billion a year, all it does is fill in the blank again and again and again. In fact, there's a huge breakthrough in China last year where they got an AI model to fill in 2 blanks at once. That's like the frontier technology. This is as advanced as it gets. This is all it does. So would you let AI fill in this blank? No, it can't decide for your community what your community needs most. The challenge is to find the right blank, not making decisions, but looking through a lot of information, pulling together common threads, and presenting that to you for the next steps. You didn't get into public health to become an AI fact checker, and you shouldn't have to be. In just the past year, my company, NACCHO360, has worked with more than 100 local health departments and hospitals across the country on their community health assessment and SHIP reporting process. And in doing so, we've developed some guidelines for effective deployment of AI. First, always use it within a larger framework, so don't expect AIs to do 100% of the work. Keep a human in the driver's seat to make decisions. Provide your AI with the context it needs to do its job effectively, and then recognize that generative AI has fundamental weaknesses with data and facts. So I'm going to give a behind-the-scenes look at how we deploy these guidelines in practice. So what problem are we trying to solve with community health assessments? Well, it takes months to do the primary data and the secondary data, to put it all together, to read through it all and figure out what everything is saying. We found numerous places in this cycle where we can deploy AI in small sections to automate parts of the work. And when we did that a dozen times, a dozen separate models throughout the CHA cycle, we were able to reduce the time that it takes LHDs to conduct their CHA by more than 80%, while keeping the AI restrained and keeping a human in charge. So let's start with the qualitative data. This is the focus groups and transcripts that you want to put into the tool to understand what everybody's saying. Now, humans can't read through this very quickly, but AI can read it instantly and group it into themes. This is not a black box. You can see what the AI picked out. You can edit everything. You can choose what you want to show in your report. With automation, it's very easy to look across all of your focus groups and see what came up most often. You can take those quotes, you can put them into sentiment analysis, that's another AI tool, and you can see at a glance, how do people feel about food access in your community? Let's jump to the dashboard where we see the whole CHA together. Now, when you're conducting a CHA with AI assistance, it's gonna feel kind of like you're passing it back and forth, like you're each doing pieces of the work and then going on to the next step. So when it comes to prioritizing your needs, that's something you can't have the AI do for you. That has to come from your community. But AI can help fill in the information about why you selected what you did and why some other needs didn't make the cut. Then we get to the secondary data, the quantitative data. Now remember, AI can't do math, it can't do numbers. But that's okay. We can automate making all the charts and maps, making hundreds of them in just 2 minutes, and then we can take each of them individually and feed the data inside of it and the image to AI and have AI write a caption describing what it sees. It can do this perfectly fine because the context is quite limited and you're only having it do a part of the larger work. It can even pull out specific pieces of data that it sees, such as what zip code in Kane County has the highest rate of depression. You can regenerate everything, you can edit everything, but it's doing a lot of that manual, tedious work for you. At the end of the process, we're starting to use AI to actually draft your CHA once you've prioritized your needs. We can do this because we have your primary data, your secondary data. We have claims data, we have your community surveys, we have a large historic library of CHAs, we have years of experience in public health, so we can help AI fill in the right blank with the right answers. So it'll take all these data sources and it'll craft them into a narrative, and it will actually call out the specific places it saw different pieces of information and where those data sources concorded with each other or disagreed. ChatGPT can't do this because ChatGPT doesn't know your community. It doesn't have your data, but a properly constructed AI model has no problem with this. This is the superpower of AI and automation. This is like a junior collaborator that does 80% of your work in an afternoon and then surfaces insights you wouldn't have had the time to see otherwise. Then you just review, refine, and approve. So let's look at the final product. In this interface, you can generate and edit the CHA right in a browser with your peers. You can edit everything the AI has given you. You can even put in your colors. It will pick out the quotes from your focus groups and interviews that it thinks are most impactful for telling your narrative and connect that to the secondary data. You can swap out the maps and charts that you want. You can edit them right here, but it's all in one place. You can drag and drop and move things around. Now you could write this all from scratch, but it's a lot easier to work with a draft that's already there. And when you're happy with it, you can export the whole thing to Word, or to put in your brand template, or to put it straight into PDF. After your CHA, we come to the chip, and this is where AI can help as well. It can recommend programs from a large library of curated evidence-based programs. It can generate a whole logic model from just an idea that you give it. It can even zoom out into a roll-up view where you look across multiple chips to aggregate your impact. There's one more thing I want to show you. So remember how I said AI can't do math, can't do numbers? Well, this is a little less true than it used to be because of advances in AI technology. This is a chatbot that we connected to community survey data, and you can ask it a question in English, like, give me a summary of that, or give me a cross-tab of X by Y. We have given it restricted access to request the data directly from the database using SQL, and take that data and throw it into a chart or put it into a summary. It's kind of using the data the way a data analyst might, not trying to remember the whole data set at once, but just fetching the data it needs and using that. This is HIPAA secure, it can't make things up, and it's going to be available for claims data and survey data and more. This is the sort of thing that is coming with AI, starting to recognize where it does have weaknesses, work around those, and move forward. Two of Metokyo's co-founders have a classical education, and I was reminded of a line in a very old and very famous Latin poem that goes, "Don't look for answers in numbers out of Babylon. Nec Babylonios temptatis numeros." They're talking about the calculations in astrology that are supposed to determine how your life is going to turn out. But it's also true here. Don't look for a machine to do your job or make decisions for you. Rather, seize the day with the tools at hand. You may find you have a lot more time in your day. Come visit our booth, see more about how LHDs are implementing AI, and learn about your nature mental benefits. Thanks.